come to the principles and practice of procurement. This is the final section of Unit 1, which is going to take us through the service level agreement. By the end of the section, we should be able to define service level agreement, identify some of the benefits of effective service level agreement, explain some of the reasons why service level agreement fails to achieve their objectives, and mention some of the contents of a service level agreement. So when we say service level agreement, how do you understand this? What do you understand by service level agreement? Service level agreements are formal statements of performance requirements specifying the exact nature and level of service to be provided by a service provider as part of a service specification. We're saying that in contract, we cannot just assume things. This is why terms are spelled out in a written document. In service level agreement, there is the need to document the level of service that is expected of a service provider. We can document what is considered quality, the responsibilities of the parties, and then so on. With this being said, there are so many benefits or reasons that comes with specifying the level of service agreement. First, we have the clear identification of customers and providers in relation to specific service. So in the service level agreement, that is the document, we detail specifically who is to perform what service. This is done just so we know who is doing what. If there's a problem, we know who to go to, what needs to be done, what went wrong, and all that. This aids in the clear identification of customers and then specific providers who are providing specific services, right? We also have the focusing of attention on what service actually involves and achieve. So now, as a service provider, if I take this service level agreement document, I know what my customers, what they are expected of me, what the particular service should involve, what I need to achieve, what it's going to be used for. Like everything is detailed in the document. So when you take it, you're not now going to brainstorm or think. You know what is expected of you, what should be done, what the service actually consists, and what it needs to achieve, right? We also have the identification of real service requirements of the customer and potential for costs to be reduced by cutting service or levels of service that are unnecessary and do not add value. So as a service provider, you are the expert here. We've employed your services because you are the expert here. You know what this work is about. So if a customer details some things in their documents and then as a service provider, you think these requirements are not necessary or will not add any value to the whole process, it's up to you to tell us, let us know why you think this is unnecessary, this is not going to add value, this is going to just generate additional cost and all that. It's your duty. That is why the service level agreement is there. So if I expect that of you and then I've classified it as a quality, right now that you've explained to me why you think this is not necessary, I will probably sit down, think this through with your help, and then know, oh, indeed, this thing is not necessary. So I cut it out, and I'm not expecting it from you. If assuming the service level agreement document was not available, then in my mind as a customer, I'll be expecting this from you. In your mind as a service provider, you think this is unnecessary, so you won't do it. Then after the whole thing has been executed, I'm like, oh, why didn't he do this? Okay, so next time I'm not going to employ you and all that. When in case you were actually helping me because you thought it was unnecessary and it was just going to generate additional cost and all that. So there's this document that has been detailed is going to help us, the two parties, come together to reach a consensus on a normal ground, a general ground on what is necessary, what adds value, what is unnecessary, and what does not add value. Finally, we are saying better customer awareness of what service they receive, what they are entitled to expect, and what additional services or levels of service a provider can offer. So now, as a customer, I know what to expect by the end of this service. As a provider, I know what my customers are expecting from me. I know what to do and what not to do. And then also, as a service provider, I can tell my customers, oh, these are additional services that was not detailed in the documents that I am going to provide or I will be able to provide to you. So the customers will know, okay, this is what I'm expecting, final output I'm expecting from my customer. This document details everything that is needed. And then it also gives us an idea or a general picture about what should expect of both parties, what either party is expecting from each other. Reasons why service level agreements fail to achieve their objectives. One, there is when there is lack of commitment by providers and or customers. There's a number of reasons why providers or customers may not be committed to a particular project. Probably because the provider does not find the buying organization attractive, or there are so many reasons you can think of why one person may not be committed to a particular project. When this happens, a very big problem is going to occur in the supply chain or the procurement process. This is going to lead to a decline in the performance among team members, and it's even going to have an impact on the trust team members have with the managers or even among themselves. When this happens, service level is bound to fail or fall. Secondly, there is lack of consultation with user departments and other stakeholders as to the services and levels of service actually required. Definitely, the user departments are going to use the final output, the final service that you're going to provide. It's what they require, what they think they deem fit, what they think is quality as what you should be doing. So as a service provider, if you don't consult with user department, or as a buying organization, if you don't consult with the people that are going to use whatever you are procuring, the service you are procuring for, and then just go ahead, meet up with your service provider and then just define anything and anything at all, at the end of the service, you realize you don't have anybody to use the services you've procured from the consultants or the service providers, because whatever you've procured is not what the user department needs. Then quality has not been met because whatever you've procured is not fit for purpose. This is one reason why service level fail or service falls. Then thirdly, we have overloading of staff with extra work involved in service level agreements. Example, additional monitoring and reporting tasks. So as an organization, we say specific tasks must be given to specific people so that if anything we can easily identify who was in charge of what. Now in this case, instead of just giving me a reasonable portion of work that I can handle, you just go overboard and then you just define some ridiculous quantity of work that I don't think I can meet, because for whatever reason you didn't fit. Like instead of employing additional hands on board to help us with the additional work, you think it's okay to share it amongst them. When that happens, the performance is going to be substandard. We're not going to really take our time to commit ourselves to do it, because I feel whatever extra work I'm doing, I'm probably not being paid for the extra thing I'm doing because of the stress level, because of so many reasons. This is going to go a long way to affecting the quality of the service. Finally, the fostering of better understanding and trust between providers and customers. In any relationship, right, trust is key. Trust is needed among both parties in order to ensure the relationship prospers or moves on. So in this case, when the service providers and the customers do not trust each other, it's a very big problem. If I don't trust you, I don't trust what you're doing, I it creates room for questions. I something that you're supposed to be in your office, I'll be sneaking around looking at what you're doing, and then if the other parties get to know of this, they also start they also start just thinking of what I'm doing wrong, what could the problem be, what could be happening, why is this person, a whole lot of issues arise. And then this is going to go a long way of affecting the level of service that we agreed on. And then service is probably going to fail. We're not going to meet the quality and all that. We move on to the content of service level agreement. Of course, when we design a service level, there are some things, these points may not be exhaustive, but then these points are key terms that we can find in almost every service level agreement. We're going to briefly go through some of the points. The first point we have here is what services are included and not included, or included only on request and at additional cost. As a service provider, you have to know what specific services you are required to perform, what you've been paid to perform, and what you've not been paid to perform. You can't just wake up and assume this is what you've been paid to do, and so this is what you're going to do. This is wrong. What if you do this and we tell you this is not what we paid you to do? It's actually the other way around. And then who is going to bear the additional cost? So specifically what is required of you, you should know. That is why this requirements as in the service level agreement as clearly detailed in the service level agreement. Secondly, the standards of level of service, such as response tools, speed and attributes of quality services. Standards are all about consistency. In a service, we have to know how much time and effort we need to put in delivering a particular service. The levels of services and then the standards are clearly detailed in a service level agreement. We also have the allocation of responsibility for activities, risk, and cost. Each activity is allocated to this person. In the service level agreement, we know who is responsible for this risk. When a risk occur, this person is responsible for such a risk. The mitigation strategies involved are detailed in the service level agreement. The cost involved, everything is detailed in the service level agreement. We also have how services and service levels will be monitored and reviewed, what measures of evaluation will be used, and how problems, if any, will be addressed. Of course, in every relationship or in every contract, there are conflicts. When this happens, we can't just ignore the aspects of conflict whenever we are drawing up a contract. We should know what we're going to do, who is responsible for monitoring. We can't award a contract to a provider and then expect that they are doing it. Someone should be there, contract administrators to be there to make sure these service providers are actually doing what they are being paid to do, who is monitoring them, who is going to review whatever they are doing and then let them know, okay, this is what you did wrong, this is what you should do right before everything ends and then it's boss additional cost in the system. The measures of evaluation that we are expected to use, conflict strategies that we are expected to use. Should there a conflict arise, who is going to mediate these conflict strategies and all that? How complaints and disputes will be managed. We just explained this. And then finally, when and how the agreement will be reviewed and revised. By way of summary, we have defined what service level agreement is. We also identify some of the benefits of effective service level agreement and explain some of the reasons why service level agreements fail to achieve their objectives. We have also looked at some of the content of service level agreement. Thank you.